Jenny, a nursery school teacher, and her boyfriend Steve decide to escape for a romantic weekend by a secluded lake in the lush English countryside. Along the way, they encounter a quiet young boy who barely speaks. When they finally reach the beach, their plans for a peaceful day are shattered by a gang of unruly teenagers and their noisy dog. True to his stubborn nature, Steve refuses to leave, opting instead to endure the disruption. They spend the night camping, only to wake up to find their food infested with bugs. Starving, they head back to their car in search of a meal, but end up running over an empty bottle left behind by the troublemakers. Steve manages to repair the tire, and they set off toward town. While there, Steve spots the same unruly teens riding bicycles and gives chase. After losing track of them, he resigns himself to finding breakfast. At a local diner, when Steve asks the waitress about the kids on bikes, she jests about whether they've been terrorizing him and Jenny. Laughing it off, Steve explains that the teens were merely hassling them and that he even planned to inform their parents about his damaged tire, only to be met with the waitress's defensive "not my kids." After leaving the diner, Steve notices a cluster of bicycles scattered across a house's front lawn and stops the car. Despite Jenny's pleas to stay in the vehicle, he ventures out. Receiving no response at the door, he boldly enters the house but is nearly caught by the owner, the father of one of the teenagers. In a narrow escape through a window, Steve and Jenny rush back to the lake. Back at the lake, while Steve goes scuba diving, Jenny catches some sleep on the beach. When he returns, they discover that the beach bag containing the car keys, his phone, and wallet is missing. Panicked, they check on the car only to find it gone. Forced to walk back to town, they narrowly avoid being hit by a wildly driven car, its driver pausing only long enough for the leader of the gang, Brett, to smirk at them. That night, the couple stumbles upon the gang in the woods. Ignoring Jenny's protests, Steve confronts them, demanding his car keys and belongings back. Brett denies any involvement in the theft, but a ringing phone in Steve's pocket triggers a brawl. In the ensuing chaos, one of the teens pulls out a knife, and when Steve grabs it, he accidentally fatally wounds Brett's dog. Mourning his pet, Brett tosses the car keys to the ground and orders them to leave. The couple retrieves the car and starts to drive away, only to get stuck on a steep slope. Seeking revenge, the gang catches up and begins pelting the car with rocks, shattering the windshield and smashing the headlights. In a frantic attempt to escape, Steve and Jenny get the car moving again, but without headlights, they crash. Trapped by a tree branch embedded in the windshield, Steve urges Jenny to run and find help, and she manages to slip away to hide for the night. The next morning, Jenny returns cautiously to the car and finds Steve missing. Following a trail of blood, she discovers him bound by barbed wire in a small clearing, surrounded by the gang. In horror, she watches as the boys, egged on by Brett, take turns torturing Steve with knives while one of the girls records the ordeal on her phone. Realizing that Steve's life hangs by a thread, Jenny connects her GPS's Bluetooth to his phone. Brett notices the connection and, deducing her proximity, orders the gang to pursue her. Jenny flees with the gang close behind on their bikes, giving Steve a chance to break free from his restraints and start running. Eventually, she finds him, badly injured and bleeding profusely, and helps him to a nearby shack where she tries to tend to his wounds. In the process, she finds a wedding ring among his belongings, and Steve confesses that he had planned to propose. Soon after, the gang storms the shack, but finds nothing since Jenny had hidden both of them beneath a nearby water structure. Once the group departs, she drags Steve out and they agree that she must escape alone while he remains hidden under some leaves. While making her way along the power lines, Jenny accidentally steps on a spike and takes cover, afraid that her cries might betray her location. Before long, she encounters the quiet young boy from earlier and pleads for help, but he instead leads her directly to the gang, who promptly knock her unconscious. When Jenny awakens, she finds herself alongside a lifeless Steve, both about to be doused in petrol by the gang. Brett forces the young boy, Adam, to light the fire with a match, while ordering the girl to record the horrific scene on her phone. Even the other gang members seem disturbed at this point. As the burning ropes that bind Jenny finally give way, she escapes, but not before Brett, in a fit of rage, soaks Adam in petrol and threatens to set him alight if she doesn't return. Helplessly, she watches in horror as Adam is burned alive. Desperate to escape, Jenny finds a trail map and takes it as her ticket out. After narrowly avoiding Brett and Ricky by hiding in a large bin, she arms herself with a shard of glass. Before she can move on, she encounters another gang member, Cooper, who momentarily appears as if he might help her. In a split-second decision fueled by fear and desperation, Jenny stabs him with the glass. The shock of what she's done overwhelms her as she holds the dying man in her arms. Paige's scream at the sight of the body draws Brett's attention, and as another gang member steps forward to make a call, Brett beats him savagely. Terrified by Brett's uncontrollable brutality, Paige flees. Jenny eventually makes it to the road and flags down a van. Inside, she tells the driver she's been attacked. The concerned driver explains he's searching for his brother, Ricky, who is lost in the forest. After a brief stop, he leaves the van with the keys in the ignition. Fearing capture, Jenny commandeers the van and speeds off toward town, tragically running over Paige in the process. Arriving in town, Jenny crashes into the front garden of a house. She sneaks around to the back, where a lively party is underway, and collapses while begging for help. When she comes to, she finds herself inside the house with a comforting woman by her side. As she listens to a phone call in which parents discuss their children, she slowly realizes that she's in Brett's own home. Asking to be shown to the bathroom, Jenny's fears deepen when Brett's father spots the wrecked van on the lawn. With no escape in sight, she arms herself with a razor. The commotion outside escalates until the door is kicked in, revealing Brett, his father, and several other partygoers, many of whom are the parents of the gang members, including the very waitress from the diner. Jenny is struck by the horrifying truth that these parents are as vicious as their children, protecting them from any accountability. In a sudden moment of chaos, Brett's father orders his son into his room, violently shoving Jenny back into the bathroom. As the ordeal draws to a close, Brett erases the incriminating videos from the girl's phone, dons Steve's sunglasses, and Jenny's screams echo from downstairs as she is apparently beaten and killed by Brett and the other parents. What do you think was the most disturbing moment in Eden Lake? Do you think Jenny ever had a real chance of escaping, or was she doomed from the start? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.